Org. We hope you take your browser over to supertalktv.com. You'll see I'm not alone. Kenneth Thomas of Umble Coffee out of Starkville is coming to us from Boston, and he's not being rude. He's not taking a phone call while he joins us here on Good Things. We've got video and audio, and we're working it all together. So, hey, Kenneth.
How are you?
I am doing well. How are things in Boston? What's the weather like?
Well, it is drizzly, and it's about 46 degrees, so I would rather be in Mississippi right now.
Well, we are doing better than that here in the South, but that can change at any moment with Mother Nature down here. Okay, what takes you there? This is the U.S. Coffee Championship. It feels like a big deal. Did you have to win your way there? Tell us how Umble Coffee made it to Boston.
Yeah, so this is, for me specifically, this is the U.S. Coffee Roasters Finals. And so I am among one of 22 specialty coffee roasters in the U.S. that have made it to this final round. And if I win, then in June I get to represent the U.S. in Milan, Italy, which would be cool.
Oh, do you need a media to go with you? Because I feel like Rhino and I would totally do a remote there for you.
Yeah, we need some. They let us have one coach, so you could be my coach.
I will be the best hype man you have ever seen, Kenneth. I'll drink all the coffee. I did get someone asked, a coffee contest, is that how much caffeine can you withstand in so many hours? Is that how many cups you can chug? And so when you think of a coffee contest, you mentioned the roasting part. Is that the only part of the contest, or are there multiple divisions?
Multiple divisions. So they have what's called the Barista Championships. They have what's called Brewer's Cup, which is basically who can, all these different ways make the best of the coffee they're given. They have what's called cupping, which is actually tasting the coffees and being able to tell that there's a difference between different cups. There's mine with the roasters, and then there's what's called coffee and good spirits, which is basically cocktails with coffee in them. So, bunch of coffee people here.
Bunch of coffee people there. And in the roasting division, I can only imagine how marvelous that specific hall smells, or wherever you're at, because that is one of, whether you like coffee or not, 90% of people at least appreciate the smell of fresh roasted coffee. But this isn't the making of the coffee. This is, the roasting of the beans. So how long have you been preparing for this? I mean, do you take X number of bags of beans with you? Do you pre-roast them in Mississippi and then have it there? Walk us through that.
Sure. So for the quarterfinals, yes, they send us beans and we all have to roast them and then present at competition with them. But for the finals, you show up and they tell you what beans you're roasting and they give them to you, and you go from ground zero. So it's actually a long competition, because you have to what we call sample roast and production roast and taste it and all this other stuff.
And then you get down, I guess, to finding your right recipe, or the way that you are able to do it. Or what makes one roaster different from the other?
Yeah, it's so when you look at coffee, about 50% of what you taste in the cup is going to come from the farm. By that we mean where it came from, pH of the soil, how it was processed, how the farmer took care of it, stuff like that. About 30% comes from what the roaster does. Just kind of think of us like chefs, basically, but just for coffee. And then 20% of what you taste is actually how it's brewed, if that makes sense.
And then the judges, are they coffee snobs from everywhere, or are they your everyday Joes off the street? I feel like there needs to be, a mix of judging there, because if you can wow someone off the street versus wowing someone who knows what they're tasting, then that should hold some weight too.
Right. So yes, they have they're uber, educated coffee people, and they have to be calibrated to each other as far as how they're judging and scoring the different coffees. So they have to taste a lot of coffees.
So you started Umble there in Starkville. How many years ago now, Kenneth?
2017, so about 4 years ago.
4 years ago. And did you ever think that you would now be at the, U.S. Coffee Championships doing what you just had started as a hobby?
Yes and no. No being I don't think I would have gotten to this point. The yes being, I know what coffee can be as far as the quality and how it tastes and how good it can be for you and stuff like that. And so I wanted to pursue that really hard. And so, yes, ultimately, this is one of the places I thought that, I could be at some point.
Just getting to that part of the competition. I mean, I would feel like that would be an interesting thing to get into in terms of, here on Good Things, we've had everything from pork or cooking contests, and we've got chefs everywhere now, it feels like, on TV representing Mississippi. We have roasting or thinking pig roasting teams, barbecue teams. That's the word I was looking for. But I mean, it is a pig, but barbecue's a little bit nicer to say than pig roasting competitions. Do you feel, or I know right now in Boston, it's nothing but coffee people. Do you feel like folks are catching on to the talent that it takes to create a great roast?
I think in Mississippi, yes. There honestly are some other parts of the U.S. that they get it, more than say we do. But it doesn't mean that we can't lead, And so I'm hoping that we can just kind of keep doing what we're doing and keeping our nose to the grindstone and just produce some good coffee.
How long are you going to be in Boston?
It's actually a long time. So it's from today. I just got in today until Monday. Because like I said, it's you have to, like, for example, when you roast the coffee, you then have to let it sit for a certain amount of time before, you can taste it and all these other things. So anyway, it's fancy. It's fun.
That's fine. I think it's cool that, we have a representative there from Mississippi. And again, remind us, you are one of 23, right, that got the invitation to come. Is there anyone else close to the South? Do you have any other Southern competitors there, or are you representing the whole Southeast?
Well, there's a guy that's from somewhere in Tennessee. I think he's probably my closest, and he's probably, I'd say, at least 4 hours away. So nobody anywhere close. And then even in the quarterfinals, I beat out some of the bigger roasters that had some folks there. So that was, and they're good friends of mine. But that was kind of fun, and just shows that you can do it. You should put your mind to it.
So what's the hardest part? Where do you think is where makes a good roaster from a great roaster?
I think it's. I think that it is, how much time they put into the education, and then you always have to taste your coffee when you get done with it, and make sure that it's what you are wanting, and that's really your biggest feedback is tasting your coffee always.
Have you ever been on the competition floor and took a sip and wanted to just spit it out and go, no?
Not with my coffee. I have had some friends that, when they were in doing their actual production roast for their bean, yes, theirs did turn out bad. And, who's to say mine doesn't this time? But, we use different roasters, the actual machine, than what we're used to. And so that's part of it, is you have to learn how to just kind of adjust.
Well, that would be like using a different oven or, a different mixer or something like that. Well, Kenneth, I know you got a lot of other cool things going on back home in Starkville with Umble Coffee, so we're going to keep the coffee talk here on Good Things. tomorrow. But still here on Good Things, we're continuing our conversation with Kenneth Thomas. He is the founder of Umble Coffee out of Starkville, Mississippi. He is their extraordinaire roaster, or roaster extraordinaire, should I say it in that way. And he's coming to us from Boston because he's there at the U.S. Coffee Championship, which is just getting kicked off. So we don't know whether you've won or not yet, Kenneth. You are setting the stage for that. But back home in Starkville, you've got your other roasters putting out Umble Coffee left and right for the subscription service as well as for retail business. But what else you got kicking off today?
So today we launched a podcast show called Coffee 101, which is a coffee education show for what I'd call the coffee curious. So really anybody out there who just wants to know a little bit more about coffee, and I'm really excited about it.
So why did you feel like, Kenneth, because I know you have, you are a doctor by day, a coffee roaster by night, but obviously by the day too, you juggle them both. And you've always, even here on Good Things, talked about the health benefits or just the good science behind coffee, or the bad science, or busting myths behind the bad science around coffee. So why did you feel compelled to make an educational podcast around it?
Well, I looked at podcasts that are out there for coffee, and most of them, and there are some good ones out there, but they're really geared towards people in the coffee industry. And I just, coffee can be such a great drink as far as like quality of the taste, the health benefits, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, I just really, I want to get all my coffee industry friends together, and just from the simplest question being what is coffee, and then just building up from there, like a coffee knowledge. So it's all chronological, or goes in order, and just kind of builds up.
How many are you gonna do it by like seasons? How many episodes have you already recorded, or is it weekly?
Yes.
How does it work?
It's weekly, so every Wednesday a new episode will drop. And today, since it started, we have the trailer is out there, and then there are 7 episodes that we had already recorded that are out there. So anybody, can go to Apple Podcast or however they listen to podcasts and just follow. And if it would really help us out if people, my fellow Mississippians would just follow and listen and even rate the podcast today, because that would really kind of help put us out there and get in more of the mainstream as far as coffee education goes.
You mentioned starting with the question, what is coffee? I mean, I feel like It's like, are you insulting our intelligence, Ken? I mean, we all know what it is. It's Jesus juice, right? Like it is the gateway to the Holy Spirit, at least in the mornings for most of us. But how do you answer that question?
Yeah, well, first thing I'd say, go and listen to the Coffee 101 podcast.
Of course.
So look it up, Coffee 101. But I'll go ahead and tell you the short on that. So the main 2 reasons that people drink coffee is the caffeine and the taste. Now, historically, it has almost always been the caffeine, but more recently, the quality has gone up, and so taste has gone in there. But then another big, what I'd call close third, is the community, or like that atmosphere that you drink the coffee in, and the people that you're around, that those memories that you build, because you could have a bad cup of coffee and it's the best cup of coffee ever, if you're sitting out on a deck looking out at the beach.
You have a big point there. You have a unique point there. I hadn't thought about it. I mean, every morning I start my day with a cup of coffee, and usually that's my husband and I's time to get like 5 to 10 minutes of just catching up before, the girls wake up and we get on with our day. And then I grab my cup of coffee every afternoon before joining our friends here on Good Things. But so many have their memories of drinking coffee with their grandparents or going to that local spot or gas station to grab a cup in the morning with the more wiser generation, right? Or enjoying a cup of coffee with a slice of pie after a family dinner. And, when you really stop to think about it, it is very much a communal drink as much as it is a get up and go, 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 which is my primary reason of loving it, or at least I think it is, but maybe it's deeper than that for me. Kenneth, you got me thinking.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is that's what we're trying to tackle is let's see if we can sneakily educate people, but in a fun and educating way. So that's what Coffee 101 is all about.
Well, I always took away from your time here on Good Things about if you could improve the quality or nutrition of the things that you take in every day anyway, then over 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever years, the compound interest of those added antioxidants or health benefits, you may not be able to measure, how much that helps you. So with coffee, if you are a coffee drinker, I mean, there's a good opportunity to look for a more quality product. So what's the biggest, I guess, gap in nutrition for the cheapest, biggest brand names type coffee?
All right, so ask me that question again.
What are the big brand names that are maybe the most economical, that's on stocks all of our shelves, right, that aren't local, that are massive? What are they, what can't they offer us that smaller batched, more local roasting can?
Yeah, okay, I got you now. So basically, it's the difference in the taste. And that has a lot to do with the type of beans that are used. And so, for example, one of the biggest achievements whenever I'm doing anything in coffee is and I hear this over and over, is random people say, "Oh, I can drink that black," and to me that's a win. When they don't have, and I'm not knocking, putting a bunch of cream and sugar in it, because I do that even with a dark roast. But if somebody can drink it black, if it's good enough of a taste quality that they can drink it black, then really get a lot of health benefits out of that.
All righty. Well, I take mine black every single day. I think it's the cream and sugars for the week, and I'm going to get some hate mail for that. Yeah, I'm totally joking.
I was trying to be nice.
I'm totally kidding on that. My husband's one that milk and sugar every morning, but the conversations are still just as fun, regardless of how you take your coffee. Okay, if folks want to go and give Umble a try, or follow what you're doing there in Boston, or listen to your podcast, where do we find it?
You can always go to umblecoffee.com for the podcast. Just go to whatever, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, any of that stuff. And it is up today. And if people do all the fancy stuff, like follow, listen, rate, stuff like that today, then they enter for a chance to win a year of free coffee.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's a good thing to know. One question, though, Ken, before you go. With the higher moisture in Boston, does that change the roasting from Starkville? Someone asked.
Great question. It does. And so, for example, to get super technical but quick answer for you, I will have to not add as much heat at the beginning of the roast as I usually would, because I want the bean to warm up a little bit so that I'm not overcooking the outside of the bean and undercooking the inside, if that makes sense.
Sure. As long as it tastes good.
Super technical.
And it gets me connected with Jesus, and I'm nicer to the people around me. That's what I need from a good cup of coffee. And I'm wishing you all the best, and I know Mississippi is behind you too, so we will be following how you do there in Boston, so please keep in touch. And we will give the podcast a listen and support what you're trying to do at the greater coffee community, and can't wait to hear how it goes. So good luck.
Thank you, Rebecca.
All righty. You guys stick with us, though. We got some more good things for you.